we're off. Welcome into another edition of the Bobcast, and we have a plethora of sports. Winter sports coming to a close, but the spring sports currently on the horizon. And for one coach, it's transitioning from one side of the schedule to another. Here with Shane Brookshire of the track and field team, and coach, MEC Indoor Championships. The men had a fourth place showing. Women finished in ninth. What were your overall takeaways from the event?
I mean, this team never ceases to amaze me in the terms of uh, their accomplishments that they uh, achieve every single meet. It's been a remarkable season. As I've talked about before, I mean, you don't expect to go in and PR like every single meet, and we've had athletes step it up every single time. We've walked away with numerous PRs. This weekend, a couple of school records again. I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend, and for this being their first experience for MEC championship for most of them, aside from the cross country guys, they walked away with valuable experience. Like they walked away with confidence, knowing that they can compete within this conference, and it's going to just set us up for another spectacular outdoor season.
Looking at some individuals in particular, the big story, at least what I got out of it, John Kearns, he won the MEC Field Athlete of the Year in several weight throw competitions. What does that program mean, or what does that accolade mean for the program going forward?
Oh, that's a huge accolade for us, and for him as well. For us, it's going to help us out on the recruiting end. Like I've talked to recruits, and told them that we've had a strong history in the throws, and especially over recent years with J.R. Lowry and John Kearns and Mike Belker and Preston Duffield now and Michaela Westry and Alexa Bradburn. I mean, it's a strong group. Like it's a fun group to work with. I've been fortunate to have these kind of athletes throughout the whole year, and it's going to set us up to have hopefully some more accolades during the outdoor season. But and for John, I mean, it's an impressive way to cap off his indoor career. What he did this weekend was beyond phenomenal. He really stepped it up. He's been dealing with some back issues, and we were hoping that it wouldn't affect him as much and that he could pull through. And I mean, he uh, pulled off the win in the weight throw, and he pulled off a third place showing in the shot put with another PR. I mean, he opened up his indoor season with a PR and shot. He closed it out with a PR and shot, and it's great that the other coaches in the conference recognize him for his efforts throughout the year. Uh, the wins that he's had, like the provisional mark that he hit back at Susquehanna at the beginning of January, is great that the other coaches in this conference recognize that John Kearns is a special athlete, and you don't get too many of him coming through your program.
Looking at the weight throw, we mentioned Kearns, of course, having a standout performance, not just in the MEC championships, but throughout the season. You also had Michael Belker finishing in second place. First year Preston Duffield set a PR by almost 2.5 meters. And considering that not only with those two, but also Kearns with his nagging back issues throughout the season. What was it like training them, and what was the motivation going into the MEC Indoor Championships?
I mean, it was a team effort on the training side. I admit that I do not have the most technical knowledge, when it comes to the throws, and I've got some basic knowledge, but athletes like John and Preston, uh, Mike and Michaela, Alexa, they need somebody that has that eye for technique, and John has that, and he is stepped up into a leadership role and has provided that knowledge to these athletes. And we just recently hired a throws coach with Demarcus Stid, who came from Indiana Tech, which had a solid throws program there, and um, so he's able to bring them a little bit more technical knowledge. Uh, for me, it just came down to the proper programming, making sure that our restoration days were restoration days, making sure that they were recovered and that we weren't throwing 5 days a week. Like we got to have those quality rest days in there built into the week as well as into the mesocycle. And so my end of it just came down to like the programming and telling them when to throw, when not to throw, and like, but a huge part of it came from John himself. Like, I credit him every single time I talk about him that I talk about the throwers is that he is one of the biggest reasons for their success and the other throwers as well too. Like, I mean, they help each other out. Like, they are their own small little family, and they help each other like at every single practice, like giving each other feedback, encouraging, supporting each other. Same thing happens at the meets. Like they are the reason for their own success this year.
And day one started out great with several PRs and a couple school records, like you mentioned early in the segment. How do you think that strong start helped give your squad on both the men's and the women's side some attention?
Oh, it definitely set the tone for the rest of the meet. Like to come in and we had Morgan Matthews and Justin Dunklin performing the multis right away, and they were setting some PRs there. I know Morgan Matthews dropped a PR in the 60 hurdles, and the like they kept performing. Then we got into the weight throw, and to finish with three guys in the top five in that, like I mean that motivated the rest of the team. Like to walk away, we had like on that day we had 22 points like just out of the throwers alone, and then it kind of set the stage for our DMR later on that evening to place fifth place in that. And I mean Nick Richardson breaking the his own school record once again in the 60 dash to qualify for finals on day one. Like uh, I said that first day like set us up for the second day to kind of go in there with this confidence that we can compete with all the rest of these teams. Like we weren't um, we weren't too much in awe of like Charleston and Pembroke. I mean, they're fantastic programs, phenomenal programs. Like, and like we knew that they were going to dominate the conference like from the get go, in which they did. But we definitely felt like we could be one of the top teams in this conference.
And outside of the aforementioned weight throwers that we talked about, who else stood out to you in this past weekend?
Oh, it was pretty much every single athlete that we had competing this weekend. It was, like I said, not just on the throw side, but I mean, you got Michaela Westry going out there and shattering the school record for the weight throw as a first year, and you got Alexa Bradburn finishing ninth in the weight throw with a 12.79 meter throw, and that was a big PR for her. We go into the once again like the 60 dash with Nick Richardson breaking his own school record running 6.96 for the prelim, and then comes back the next day and runs 6.95 and finishes third. Alyssa Mullery, first year out of Fort Hill High School, uh, like she is something special when it comes to performing. Like she is like extremely talented, and she had an indoor PR in the triple jump, had a PR in the high jump with 1.56 meters, finished fifth in that, sixth in triple, uh, and she went back to back to back on day two with the triple jump, high jump, and then like as soon as she was done with high jump, she had to go run the 60 hurdle finals and came away with third place showing in that and a 9.17 PR there. I mean, Shania Booker getting eighth in the hurdles, like, and she was dealing with a little uh, like stomach issues, like prior, like that whole day of the finals, and she stepped it up. She wanted to compete, and like she got eighth in the hurdles and scored a point for the team. I mean, I said like, I mean, then what can I say about the mid distance guys? Like they blew away my expectations in that 800. Like with uh, Jaden Morley running 156 and lifetime PR, like getting fourth place. Like Daniel Foster running 157.17 indoor PR and his third fastest 800 ever. like he normally doesn't run these times until May, and Jake Ricker's lifetime PR in the 800, 157.38, placing seventh. I mean, like they went 4, 5, and 7 in a loaded 800-meter field, and that set the tone for the 4x4 that we had that evening, where these guys were pumped up. Like Jaden and Jake, like were on that 4x4 team, and Nick, after breaking his own school record again in the 60 dash like earlier that day, that 4x4 ran that 3:21.82, which is one of the fastest 4x4s ever for indoor. Like with here at Frostburg, like it was only .45 away from breaking a school record set in 1981. And so, uh, like all around, like this team was phenomenal. Like from the multis to the jumps to the throws to the mid distance, like to the sprints and hurdles. Like, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of how this team did this weekend.
Two-part question. With the indoor season wrapped up, how do you think the season went, and how can you guys carry the success that you guys had in the indoor season into the outdoor season?
So, uh, this indoor season wrapped up better than I thought we would. Uh, it was, I mean, I've used a lot of superlatives, but remarkable, phenomenal. Um, it's it's hard to really describe how amazing this team did this indoor season. Like, and to cap it off the way we did, where they showed up ready to compete and still outperformed what they had been doing all year long. And I mean, that's what you want to see as a coach. Like, you hope for it to happen, and it actually happened. And so I was just amazed by this team. Like, they put in the work, and this, like, how we transition now into the outdoor season is like we take this high level of fitness that we're currently at, and we go back into our specific prep training that we did back in the fall, and we got a few weeks until our first outdoor competition. So we kind of revisit fall training with higher fitness levels, and then work our way down from there to peak once again for the outdoor season. And I mean, we came in and like on the women's side, like we've got a small group, and but they're small but mighty. Like they are, uh, like they show a lot of fight and a lot of heart. And um, like I mean, they scored um, like 20, 21 points like this weekend, and which is a great accomplishment for how small that team is currently. And on the men's side, like we finished 11 points outside of third place. And uh, what we've got coming up this outdoor season is our strengths. Like we get to add in two more uh, throwing events essentially. I mean, we'll have shot put and weight throw transitions into hammer, but we'll also have the discus and the javelin. And I'm expecting points out of those areas. Like that will be our strongest area for sure. And um, like then we'll go into the mid distance events, and I'm expecting points out of there, especially with the way we ran in that 800. And Nick and Clay and those 60 dashes. I mean, we're going to start working towards transitioning towards the 400, and um, like we'll have our 4x1, which I think will be one of the top relays in the conference, and our 4x4 definitely showed that it is one of the best in the conference. And so I said this outdoor season is for every bit as good of this indoor season was. I feel like this outdoor season is going to be that much better. Like because we're starting to get into more of our forte, and like it's this indoor season really sets us up to be one of the best teams in the conference come outdoor.
Anything else you want to add?
So just once again, like extremely proud of this team, like the heart that they have, like the commitment that they have, like how they just trust everything that we provide for them, and they are the ones, like they're the reason for the success. And so like we wouldn't have this kind of success if the leadership that we have on the team right now is kind of took in the freshmen. And like so for the seniors and juniors that have been leading the way, like it's like our success is due to them and due to these first years that we have that are coming through and rising to the challenge. And like I said, like the whole reason for the success of this program is because of the athletes that we have on the team.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Back on the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network with men's lacrosse head coach Steve Gartelman. Coach, the season got off to a thrilling start, a 15-14 overtime victory over Lake Erie College. What were your takeaways amidst all the excitement?
It's been a lot of what we've felt the whole time is that these guys are on board. In a year and a half that I've been here, these guys are completely, doing what we've asked them to and playing for each other and fighting hard together. They came out so hot in that game, 3-0 start. Then Lake Erie went on a run as a team that was receiving votes in the beginning of the season. In the preseason polls, they are a good and talented team. So they went on their run. I was debating some timeouts in that run to see if we could talk to the team, but they seemed level-headed. They seemed composed. So they worked through that run and went on our own. By the time the fourth quarter came around, we made an 11-11 matchup. And at that point, we knew that momentum was more on our side than anything else, and the guys were believing it. And then we didn't even call a set at the end. We just went out and let the guys play, and they were very smooth and confident and poised. I think was everything. They were very calm and poised while being competitive because that was as intense as it gets. They were able to keep their heads really calm and focused on what we were trying to do.
Considering that Lake Erie College, you mentioned, was receiving votes in the NCAA polls, this first win in Division II, what does it mean for the program?
It's huge. A team that was playing really, really passionate and driven to get that, win off on their side for the Lake Erie guys. Our team really needed to make sure that we were going along the mindset of what we had this season of planting the flag. Going out and making sure that we are viewed as a competitive, Division II program. Right now, it's not like we're a new lacrosse program. We've been established in the Division III and the CAC for quite some time, which is one of the tougher conferences that we feel is in Division III. So we felt that we belong, with those receiving votes, top 20, top 25 kind of guys. That's us, being a little biased about ourselves, but being confident. But it was huge to give a little belief for the stuff we've been saying and telling these guys that you're prepared because of where we've been and what we've done, to really take some reality to them to see that they can do it. So I think that start is huge for us to go into what could be a really successful first season. But if it didn't go that way, it's guys that aren't necessarily doubting it, but they're not wholeheartedly believing what we were talking about all year so far. So a little bit of a clarification, a little bit of a solidifying the beliefs that we have going on.
We mentioned that the game started with some rapid-fire offense. You guys scored the first 3 goals. Lake Erie countered with 6 straight goals. Do you think that the back-to-back-to-back goals to begin kind of set the tone for the rest of the game?
Yeah, for sure. We knew that Lake Erie was a really talented offense. We felt confidently about ours also, but we feel like we're a balanced team. So we knew there would be a chance for this scoreboard to light up. When we came out, we executed those first 3 possessions pretty much to the T as far as how we wanted to attack within the scout and within our offense. Got great looks. The third one was a little bit tougher with Jason Clinton had to fight through some really tough action and get a really flashy one-handed goal or fadeaway goal off, and we were really happy to see him finish that one. But they were running the sets and running the movements right how we wanted to, making the reads properly. So it was awesome. I think the guys believed it. Then we got to see a really high-ranked team or a really talented team do what Division II teams do and don't fight. Don't stop fighting. They keep working. So it was really a tone setter for the offenses to be ready to go because they were definitely going to light it up, and the defenses to make sure that they were sound in their communications after the fact. It's not going to be a 0-0 game. It never is in lacrosse. So when goals go by, make sure they talk, communicate, and improve as the game went. I thought our defense did that really well, was improve over all 4 quarters, and then they didn't get an opportunity in overtime, but if they did, they would have thrived also.
The defense you mentioned got stronger as the game went on. The tipping point was the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
After the first half in which you guys were down 10-7, you guys outscored Lake Erie 4-1 in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
What was the halftime message in order to come out and retake that lead?
We made a small personnel change or two, just kind of shift some people around and where they were playing versus who. So that helped a little bit to kind of maybe play to our strengths a hair more in some scenarios. But it was really to get on their hands as shooters. They were getting a lot of really clean looks where as a goalie, you don't really want to see that. You want to see some of those that take a little bit of the speed off of it, so getting our sticks to hands. A little more urgency to flow, and we have a little concept that we use. So we ask the guys to zip a little bit more, and that's something that they understand in our languages and how that is supposed to work. And they did a really good job of ramping up the use of that term and that practice. And then just getting a little more urgent, just being aware that these guys are shooting well. They're playing very well offensively right now. So let's rev it up a little bit and do what we've been doing with a little more close the gap, get on their hands and help Jack out. And then it all started to take shape with saves and ground balls and some doubles that I think, again, once we made the switch to get to our strengths a little bit, the guys got to be more confident, more aggressive on the defensive end.
The third quarter, a strong defensive effort. In the fourth quarter, Lake Erie brought everything but the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Marks, the goalie, had to deal with a lot. And he made 5 of his 13 saves in the fourth quarter. He faced 8 shots on goal. With him as a 4-year starter in net, how important was it for the defense to have someone like him in the net trying to collect your first Division II victory?
I think he's a big part, if not, the main part of why we're able to improve over the game, why we're able to withstand runs that, can make anybody a doubter when things are going a certain way. Because he's got a great leadership quality. He talks to the guys well. He's a competitor, so he drives them and gets them a little fired up. But he also does his job. He makes saves, and that's really the only way a goalie can motivate his team is by making stops. So the guys trust, no, I made a mistake. Oh, Jack did his part. He made a save. So the guys were trusting that he was going to do his part all the way along. Once we kind of got our groove going, first, second, third quarter, really got it clicking. The fourth was, back to what we really wanted to see. The third and fourth was more of what we expect from our defense, getting Jack's the look he wants so he can make saves. It's not a defense that's going to deny every shot. We're never going to try and make Jack, yawn throughout the game. He's going to have to do his part every day. But he wants to see the shots that we're looking for out of the scout, out of the strengths of our defense and him. So he's a really calming presence, a great leader, and he's a physical guy too. When he gets his moment, he'll go out there and be our 7th defender. So the guys love that. They rally behind that.
Paul Rupert, he got off to a strong start to the season. 4 goals scored, including the game winner in overtime. After last year, he had a record-breaking performance throughout the year. How much is he going to be relied on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, about the same. He's definitely our ace in the hole. He's our sharpshooter, really quick and athletic. He came in this year with so much attention to his conditioning and to his strengths. For a smaller frame guy, he is exceptionally strong, plays with great lean, and can move weights in the weight room that you don't quite expect, and you see him pop around a little bit, and that's a strong guy. So he's going to be relied on for sure, but we have so many players. I think we had 7 or 8 different goal scorers in this game, points aside. So really, we definitely know that Paul is definitely the guy we're going to look to in crunch time. We ran a couple plays for him, and he executed very well. But anybody could light it up at that point at any time. Mike Sipes had 3, very quiet 3 in that game also. Jason Clinton had the wow goal. Jake Bowman had a wow goal also. Matt Ward looked sharp. Tanner Donaldson was back after a redshirt year last year and looked like a duck in water. Looked like he was right back to doing what he's doing. So we have a lot of really talented guys. Jeff Stalling was quiet, but he had a nice off-ball seal to get Paul one of the goals that he did have. So it was really good to see how many guys contributing. And a new guy, Reed Patton, came in and actually had the first goal for us in Division II. He had the 15-yarder to start the game, and then he had the last assist to Paul to end the game. So a new face coming in, making plays. Nick Gallagher dominated on the wings and got himself a goal off of that, playing a little bit of transition two-way midfield. So they're all there. Paul might be the cherry on top. He usually gets the goal and the paydirt at the end, but it's all a free flowing kind of share the ball offense. And I think we're going to see that where one game it could be so and so, next game it could be another guy. All of a sudden somebody pops out. Maybe it's Chase Buckwalter lighting up for 3, one of our first year guys coming in. But Paul will always find the back of the net. He'll always have his moments. But our offense is built to share and just take our opportunities as they come.
Knowing that most of the team is back from last season, and they all got a taste of Division II lacrosse and pretty good lacrosse in Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed any difference between Division III and the one game you guys have played in Division II, or is it too early to tell yet?
A little early to tell, in the sense of, I think every Division III team does have a bit consistent roster size. So Lake Erie, as talented as they are, we're a little bit shallow in their roster. So we felt if the game went this way and was tight and was long, that we can outlast because we have a very deep and talented group of guys. So that's something that we can kind of see as it goes. If other teams might be a little bit lighter because of whatever it might be in Division II. But as far as talent's concerned, talent in lacrosse style is very par for the course from what we're familiar with in the CAC. The pace of play might be a slightly different thing. I think the Division II is more of a, let me manage and play chess versus, a little bit more up and down in the D3. But we could be the difference maker because we like that up and down. We like to fly around a little bit. So if they're not doing that as much in the Division II level, let's see if that's going to be our competitive advantage and taking that going with us.
Up next, you guys hit the road tomorrow against Alderson Broaddus, a team that struggled last year, 2-12, and dropped its first game of the season. And then this weekend, taking on Walsh in the ECC and the GMAC Challenge Cup.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of challenges do both of these teams possess?
Road trips. Our first road trips in Division II. We'll see what that's about. One's fairly close to Alderson Broaddus, but up to Walsh is a bit further of a trip. Heading up to Cleveland and in West Virginia, who knows what the weather's going to bring also. But we're going to see, in Alderson Broaddus, I think we're going to see some zone, which is something we haven't seen yet. So we have to be ready to play against a zone defense. They have some really good athletes in Alderson Broaddus. They might not be as deep as we were kind of expecting, but the couple of guys they do have are really, really dynamic ball carriers. A couple of good players there. So we're expecting to see, maybe a slower paced game where those athletes can stay fresh and be the players they are while they play zone on the defensive end. If we can speed the game up, we'll have a great day. If it's a slower paced game, it might be one of those 9-7 games that we have to squeak out. But I think the way we play will make them have to play our style with how deep we are. We can run fast and furious and get our starters a little bit tired, roll new guys out there. And I think that's the method we're going to try and go about it, to try and get them out of their element. And then Walsh is a really talented team, really physical, scrappy team. They are talented on the defensive end. Their long sticks and their poles are very good. Another team that's got 2 or 3 really dynamic players with some talented skill around them. And we have an alumni up at that assistant coach in Adam Gross. He's up there, so that's someone who's a little familiar with our family here. And hopefully he doesn't know too much from the alumni visits and from the stuff there. But regardless, it's going to be a fun day to see another familiar face. But another team that's going to play inspired because they don't want to lose to Frostburg, both as a new old D3, new D2 team, but also with a familiar face on the other side. Those teams are going to be revved up.
For sure. Anything else you want to add?
No, we're excited. I think the guys are really starting to believe and get going. It's just the first step in a long journey. So hopefully tomorrow continues the journey in the right direction.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. I'm joined with baseball head coach Anthony Williams. And, Coach, even split in this past weekend's trip. Exciting victories by 1 run each against Clarion in 10 innings, and Goldie Beacom 1-0, and defeats to Tiffin and Goldie Beacom as well. What were your takeaways from the weekend?
Well, I think we'll start with the first game on Saturday. We had a little bit of snow in North Carolina, which is kind of a little bit unusual for this time of year. The weather was actually better in Frostburg than Carrie, North Carolina on Friday. So we bumped everything to Saturday, Sunday, and we kind of kept to the same schedule. So played on Saturday, got things kicked off against Clarion, my old squad there, and it was a little bit emotional, just kind of in a good way, just seeing seeing all those guys and the families and that sort of thing. But once the game got going, I think, it started off a little bit jittery. Each team kind of scored a run or two in that first inning, and then it was kind of zeros the rest of the way until the 11th when A.J. Campbell walked it off. But so it was an emotional game, probably more afterwards for me, just getting my first win as a Frostburg State Bobcat against my old team. So it was kind of interesting how that played out. But it was a good baseball game, 11-inning ball game. Kind of could have gone either way for a lot of the game, a lot of ups and downs. So, but we were happy to see a freshman start on the mound, and Ben Vaught gave us another quality start, and a freshman and A.J. Campbell delivered the big sac fly to win the first game there. So got the trip started off the right way, and then kind of going into the Tiffin game in the second one. We really just had one bad inning. Colby Lee had some trouble in the second inning, and they put up a 6 spot there. Tiffin did, and they just kind of stayed in command from there. So, one bad inning there, but overall we just didn't swing the bats great on either day. And that kind of leads into Sunday, where we had again 2 close ball games. Goldie Beacom got a 2-out hit, or I think it was a 2-out hit in the 7th. In the first game to pull ahead 2-1, and then we held on to win 1-0 in the last game. So we certainly pitched well, really outside of just one bad inning from Colby in that second game against Tiffin. But we pitched great. Hats off to Coach Hervey, our pitching coach, and the rest of the staff who really did an outstanding job all weekend.
For those out there listening, for the baseball team, the pitchers struck out. If you take out the Tiffin game, striking out 18 batters, walked 5, allowed just 3 runs. What was clicking for the pitching unit?
Well, they got ahead. I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but I know, AJ Campbell in his game against Goldie Beacom, I think he threw something like 20 for 25 first pitch strikes, which is outstanding. Ben Vaughn in the first game against Clarion got ahead of all, pretty much hitters all game long. So I think they worked ahead and they didn't fall behind. I think when Colby got in trouble against Tiffin, it was working from 2-0 counts and falling behind and trying to get his way back into counts. So that was probably, I think, the biggest thing was just the pitchers getting ahead. And I think you ask any pitching coach or pitching staff, what's the key to getting outs, and it's to throw either strike one or one of the first couple pitches being a strike. So the guys worked ahead and did well, executed the game plan pretty well, over the weekend. And it was just interesting how it played out. We had 2 freshmen give us quality starts, and we had 3 seniors in the last game on Sunday combined for a 2-hit shutout. And I think Franco, that's to my knowledge, his first start as a Bobcat, and it was just kind of like, hey, on Sunday was the last game. We kind of went with who we had left that hadn't thrown yet, and we had a couple guys that we left behind due to illness, and we've had a number of guys kind of beat up with injuries right now. So Franco is not typically a starter, but he did a great job for us, and I think went into the 6th inning. And then 2 fellow seniors, Chris Roosevelt and Caleb Smith, came in behind him and shut the door. So it was a great job by the pitching staff all weekend long, and I don't think Franco walked a batter in his start, and he was just really, really impressive.
For sure. And kind of rewinding back to the Clarion game, it was your first win as a Bobcat, like you mentioned. Both runs coming across off of sac flies, one by Ryan Roll in the first inning, A.J. Campbell with the walk-off in the 11th inning. Now, against Clarion's starting pitcher, Trevor McGee, weren't able to hit much off of him. Only 2 hits in 8 innings pitched, given up by McGee. And knowing that they switched pitchers, and the pitcher that came on after him gave up 4 hits and allowed the game-winning run, of course. How were you able to capitalize off of that switch?
Well, I mean, they came out and they were pretty amped up, Clarion that is, to start the game, and they got that first run, but it was really good for us to kind of answer back. And I think Fogel led off the bottom half of the first for us with a double, and then we didn't have a hit again until maybe the 6th or 7th inning. I can't quite recall. We didn't get too many hits off McGee. You're right. He was a lefty, probably low, maybe to mid 80s, reaching. With a really good breaking ball, and just kept us off balance, and we just didn't make good enough adjustments throughout the middle part of the game. And hats off to him. He pitched one heck of a ball game. I think he went into the 8th inning and really didn't we didn't have a ton of threatening opportunities against him after that first inning. So credit to him. Did a good job mixing speeds and kept us off balance, and got us swinging at pitches we didn't want to. And then we were able to get a couple clutch hits against Thompson in the 11th there. Really, I think with 1 out and nothing really happening, we had 1 out and nobody on, and Benitez and Roll go back-to-back singles, and Benitez is able to go first to third, which really set up the rest of the inning there when we had Bryce Jackson drew a walk, and then A.J. Campbell with the sac fly. So it really wasn't until the end there in the 11th that we really kind of put a threat together. It was mainly us on defense and on the pitching side, stopping some of their threats, because they had a number of opportunities. And I think the biggest play in the game that you may not be able to see in the box score, but the biggest play in the game was Trey D'Amico's diving catch with the bases loaded in right field, and I believe that was in the 10th. It was either in the 10th or the top of the 11th. And that really was the difference in the ball game. If he doesn't make that catch, it was a sinking line drive into right field, and he came in and dove in for it with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And if that falls and 3 runs score, and we probably don't win the baseball game. So that was probably the difference right there.
Looking ahead to the Tiffin game, which was immediately following the Clarion contest, the pitching, it struggled a bit against Tiffin, walked 11 batters, only struck out 3. Considering that the pitching otherwise for that game was pretty good throughout the weekend, what happened in the Tiffin game?
I think Colby's just trying to find the right mix of pitches right now, and just kind of his stuff wasn't sharp or crisp as it has been for us. So just trying to get him right. I think he might have had 8 of the 10 or 12 walks, whatever it was in the game. So he he knows he can be better, and we certainly expect him to be better. And we haven't lost any confidence in Colby. He's going to be fine. He's faced 2 pretty good teams, both like NCAA tournament type teams, and East Stroudsburg, who's really good team this year in his first start, and then Tiffin, who was a NCAA tournament team last year. So he's faced some difficult competition, and it hasn't been an easy road for him. But we expect him to get better, and we're not worried about him.
And finally, the Goldie Beacom victory, the 1-0 victory, the second half of the doubleheader. You mentioned Franco Velasquez on the mound, getting his first start as a Bobcat. Did very, very well. 5 innings pitched, 4 Ks, only 2 hits allowed, and didn't walk anybody. What was the decision to go with Velasquez in the final game with Goldie Beacom, and how do you think he responded to the challenge?
Well, we have a number of guys that are pitchers that also play a position, and we didn't want to start a game off with one of those guys just with how that affects the DH. So Franco is the most logical option. We were actually planning on, having him available in that first game with A.J. Campbell, in relief, but A.J. Campbell went to a complete game, 7 innings on like 67 pitches, so we ended up not using anybody other than A.J. in that first game, and we actually had the discussion about potentially rolling AJ starting into the second game because he only threw 67 pitches, and we're trying to get his pitch count built up, but we decided not to do that to a freshman, and we just figured the most logical guy was Franco because he was going to be the first out of the pen, in that next game. We really don't have a fourth starter just yet. We have some guys injured. It's kind of juggled our rotation and our pitching staff a little bit, so Franco is the most logical guy given what we had left for Game 4, and I was proud of him. He did a great job. His dad was there came up from Miami for the weekend, so I kind of joked with Franco we're going to need to fly his dad up, I think, to more outings for us and have him present because he definitely performed pretty well this weekend.
With the fourth starter still kind of up in the air, do you think that you guys will be looking around at options into the coming weekend against Shepherd?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting weekend with only having a 2-game set against Shepherd this weekend, so not everybody's going to get the opportunity to throw. So we'll kind of have a discussion here the next couple days about how we're going to attack this weekend. But we do have to keep in mind we're 2 weekends away from conference play. So we have this weekend against Shepherd, and then we have the following weekend back down in Cary with 4 games, and then after that it's in the conference play. So we know we're going to need 4 starters any given weekend in the Mountain East. If we are able to get performances like A.J. Campbell's where he really saved the bullpen and just kind of was able to go 7 innings himself, then that certainly will help change things for us. But with him also being a position player and playing third base, that's going to present some challenges for how we manage the rotation and things like that and when A.J. pitches. So it's going to be still a feeling out process. We're going to try to get some guys some more experience this weekend, some more opportunities to go out and kind of show us or cement some roles, so to speak, and then I think we'll really have a better idea once we get out of Cary that next trip in 2 weeks, where we have four 9-inning games down there. So we'll definitely need obviously 4 starters there, and we're going to be tested again that weekend against some good competition. So I think it'll play out over the next 2 weeks.
The Bats, they weren't necessarily on fire over the weekend, but someone that had a pretty decent weekend was Ryan Roll. He had a 2-for-3 day against Tiffin, probably the highlight, at least offensively for Roll. What does his power bring to the team?
Well, I mean, I think everybody knows Ryan's a threat to leave the ballpark every at-bat. He's in the batter's box. It hasn't happened yet this year, and I know that he desperately wants it to, but I think the biggest thing is that he's being able right now to use the whole field, take what he's given. He doesn't strike out a lot. I think he only has 2 strikeouts on the season. So you won't see a lot of strikeouts for Ryan. He's a free-swinging guy. You also won't see a lot of walks. So, but he came up with that big hit against Clarion in the right center gap, and if he's able to use the right side of the field, I think that's really going to open up some doors for him. He's a guy we lean on. He's a senior. He's set the school home run record last year. He had a lot of success, and he's a guy that I think is going to be able to have similar success moving from Division III to Division II, just because he has some of the best bat speed and hand-eye coordination, that I've been around. So, we look for Ryan to get it going here. Like the rest of the offense, we've kind of been pressing a little bit and swinging at bad pitches. So we just got to get back into the cages this week and work on our approach and the execution of our approach in the batter's box. And I think that's going to lead to some more success offensively because you're right. Looking at this weekend, if we didn't pitch the way we did, we could have easily walked out of this weekend 0-4.
Briefly looking at, we briefly alluded to rather the weekend coming up at Shepherd. Only 2 games this weekend. And it's not down in North Carolina. It's in the area, the northeast area, just about an hour and a half down the road. What's going to be the focus going into Shepherd this week?
No, I think for us it's going to be offensively, just getting going offensively. I think we swung it. We had some decent performances offensively down in Cary the first trip, but we didn't really pitch great. And then we had some great pitching this past weekend, and we didn't hit it all. So just trying to put it all together against another quality opponent. But I think more so right now our focus is just trying to find some sort of identity and rhythm offensively, and I think that's going to start with just our intent and focus and practice this week. So that's what I'm looking forward to is having another good competition or another good opponent and quality competition this weekend against Shepherd, and seeing if our guys can put some better at bats together this weekend and put up some more runs on the board.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I just I was excited to get down there and get the first win as the Bobcats skipper here, and I was happy we had some alums in attendance down in Cary. We got some alums in the Raleigh area, so I was proud that they were able to come out and see that as well. And I was happy that Guy was able to be there. Guy Robertson, former head coach. It was kind of a special moment for him being able to be there for that first W. So I'm looking forward to many more to come, and glad we got the first one out of the way. So turning the focus ahead towards this weekend, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back to the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcats Sports Network. I'm joined with softball head coach Bill Vasko. And, Coach, a 1-3 week to begin the season. Got the season opening win over Emmanuel, and then dropped games to Queens, the rematch to Emmanuel, and Francis Marion. What were your overall takeaways from the weekend's trip?
Well, we didn't come back with as many wins as we had hoped, but, for our first time out, and, like we talked about before we left on the trip, our first opportunity to get out on the field since October, we were pretty pleased. Obviously getting the first win of the weekend to start, we played really well in that game, jumped out on Emmanuel early and held them off at the end. That was really great. We didn't play so good against Queens in the second game of the day, and, even though the scoreboard may not show, us coming out on the positive end on the second day, I thought we played really well. Our level of energy and, just what the kids did on the second day really showed a lot of improvement from the first day and gave us an opportunity to work on a variety of things and show some things that we need to work on in practice now that we're back. But overall, we're pleased with just the progression we made in those 2 days in our first opportunity to get out and play.
You mentioned in the season preview that pitching is going to be a big key this season, and first-year Shauna Leonard got a bulk of the innings over the 4-game span. She played in 3 games, had 15 and a third innings pitched, 6 Ks, including 5 strikeouts in the complete game win over Emmanuel, and came out with a 3.20 ERA. Talk about her performance.
Shauna did a great job, especially starting off in that first game, coming out as a freshman and holding off Emmanuel really well. And overall, pitching staff needs to limit walks and free bases against opponents. I think Emily and Taylor will bounce back from that. But we were really pleased with what Shauna was able to go out and do as a freshman, and we kind of expected her to do those kind of things. And for our pitching staff in general, I think they're just going to continue to improve, and it was their first opportunity to go against batters other than our hitters. And we have some things to work on now. They'll get a little bit of individual attention this week to keep improving, but with every aspect of what we did this weekend, there were a lot of highlights and then things we needed to work on, and we knew that going into the trip, and now it's just time to get back to work to improve and get ready for this weekend.
5 runs scored in the first 2 innings of the season, including 4 in the first inning, but in the last 3 games, only 2 the rest of the way. How can the bats improve?
I think we need to come back and work on some fundamentals. I think our hitters weren't quite as prepared to see the pitching that we were going to see in terms of pitchers being able to locate their pitches a little bit better and hit their spots, mix things up on both sides of the plate. So, that's something we feel like we can work on. And, we had a lot of base runners on. We did a pretty good job of, getting people on base. We just didn't always pick them up when we needed to, which would have, obviously helped us score a few more runs. So Just in terms of fundamentals, I felt like some people were pressing at the plate a little bit just because it was opening weekend and they wanted to do really well and got away from some of the fundamentals we'd been working on. So now that we've got that first trip out of the way, we can come back and fine-tune some of those things, get back at it, and now that we kind of understand what to expect in terms of the type of pitching we're going to see, I think we'll be better prepared heading into this next tournament.
Speaking of the type of pitching that these teams brought to you guys, first taste of Division II compared to Division III, how different do you think that the style of play is from the first 4 games that you played compared to the last quite a bit of time in Division III?
Obviously the pitching is the big part. The ability for the pitchers to throw their pitches where they want. The depth of the pitching is far greater than what we've seen at the Division III level. Overall, I thought we matched up pretty well with all of those teams that, we were competitive. Like I said, the scoreboard may not always indicate it. But there were some times where, we had some errors or mental mistakes that kind of took us out of games that were a little bit closer than what it indicated at the end. We played Francis Marion in the final game. They're 15-2. They've got 17 games in, and they're a really good team. They have some Division I caliber athletes on their team. It was 3-1 going in late part of the game. We were right there with them. So overall, in terms of ability and talent, I think we're right there with those teams. It's just a matter of us getting experience against that little bit better pitching and just being able to bounce back when things don't always go our way. We have to understand that, in this transition, we are the underdog, and our motto has been all year, against all odds, that there are going to be times where, things don't go our way, and we've got to have the ability to bounce back. And that was the best thing I saw out of this weekend was on Sunday. No matter what happened, we kept the enthusiasm up, the energy level was up, we kept bouncing back and kept fighting. Didn't matter what the scoreboard said, and that's in the long run, that'll pay dividends for us.
In the games against Queens and Francis Marion, both had already played 14 and 17 games respectively. Do you think that played a factor in the defeats?
Oh, it definitely did. I mean, they've been outside, not only being able to play, but they've been outside practicing, and that's our first time seeing dirt since October. And, not being able to get the feel of a real game environment. There were a lot of the mental mistakes that we made were just things that we haven't had the opportunity to work on because we haven't been on, the type of practice facility that we needed to be on to practice those situational kind of things, and didn't get the opportunity to see those kind of things, whether it was base running, just alignments on things on defense, just a lot of game environment kind of things. When you're hitting inside in cages all the time, or you're limited in the type of field you can set up to work on defensive situations, and other teams are not only playing real games, but they're also practicing outside, it's a huge disadvantage. And like I said, that was part of the learning experience, to be able to see some of the things that we needed to work on. The great thing was, despite all of that, we ended up with fielded right around a 960 percentage, which was really good. I think 4 errors on the weekend. So defensively, even though there are some things that we need to work on, I thought that part went really well, and really happy to see that, because that was one of our emphasis going into the season, was to play really good defense behind our pitchers.
2 more trips to the Carolinas, including this weekend. You guys got a challenge to take on them and Elizabeth City State in a pair of doubleheaders. What will be the focus this week in practice?
Again, some of that situational kind of stuff in terms of defense. Like I said, our pitchers are going to get some individual work to fine-tune some of their things, the hitting fundamentals. Hopefully, in the situational kind of things, it's not just the defense situational kind of things, it's the offensive situational things with having runners on and, reacting to balls in play or just the action of the game. It's going to be tough because the weather's still not supposed to be great, and we're still limited in terms of what we can do practice-wise. But, we're going to watch the film from all of our games, point out some things that, where we need to improve so that the players can see those kind of things, and then do our best to recreate that in a practice environment so that next time, we see those situational kind of things, we handle them a little bit better, and it'll turn out in our favor. And I'm anticipating a good weekend this week after a really good week of practice, so I'm excited to get back at it.
Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Just appreciate all the effort of our players and the fans who came out to support us this weekend. And, like I said, we're going to work hard and keep moving forward and moving up.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Back on the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. Now we're sitting down with head coach Sean Brown of the men's basketball team, which still is alive for playoff contention, but lost a couple of disappointing games. First to a nationally ranked West Liberty team and against Wheeling on Saturday. Coach, what were your takeaways from the week?
Well, I thought that our guys played a lot better on Saturday. Senior night, there's always a lot of energy, a lot of a lot of emotion, family, friends. A long time coming, and this is most of the seniors' last time playing in front of their family and friends, in a home setting. So it was a lot of emotion, and our guys played really hard. We didn't play particularly well, but we played hard. And this Willing's a good team, and we match up well against them. So we make them look like they're not, top of the conference, but they are in top of the conference. They're like number 4 in the conference and number 4 in the league. So the fact that we match up really well with them, they're almost exact image of us. When we watch them on film, even from the beginning of the season, we go, they are us. So it's in the game. Both games went accordingly. I mean, those guys made plays right in the middle of the towards the beginning, middle of the game, within that 10 to 5 minutes span left in the first half. That's where they got us last game, and that's where they got us this game too. I don't know what it is, but we played them even. In fact, we scored more field goals than they did. We did everything we needed to do, but win the game. We had again rebound that came back to bite us. They had some timely offensive rebounds at the end that crushed us. But we had a shot to win it at the end. We put it in our guy's hands. He got it off a great shot. It took a wicked bounce off the back of the rim, so we didn't have a chance to rebound it. And there goes our senior night. But I'm real proud of the guys, especially how they bounced back this morning, 6 a.m. practice. These guys came in with a ton of energy. They came in, ready to play some basketball this morning. It took them about 10, 12 minutes to kind of get loose and get going. But man, practice this morning was amazing. Guys still buy in. Guys were talking, they were competing. So bad week of basketball with 2 losses, but you know what? Our guys are ready to go for this week.
Yeah, and looking at first, we'll look at the West Liberty game very briefly. The first half is mostly what I want to focus on. Against West Liberty, it was within reach. I'm not saying that that Frostburg would have been able to get ahead of West Liberty, but it was within 5 points for most of the first half before things got away in the second half. So what was the difference you saw from the first to second half?
Well, you know what? The second half. Let me start with the second half. The second half, I kind of got our guys off to a really, really bad start. By keeping them in the locker room too long. We were down. I think it was 16 in the first half, but it felt like we were close enough to really touch them and make a run. So I'm down there, and I never want to give more than 2 or 3 end game adjustments. So. But those 3 things, I was going into heavy detail because, I felt real passionate about that game, that we could get back into that game and we can win. And, obviously we were late coming up. We got a technical foul. And, we never really got going. And I attribute that to myself. And, that's my timing has got to be better. And it will be, so that that second half, that you can put that on me. First half, our guys came out competing. We missed some layups. We missed some wide open shots and offensive rebounding. Those guys were rebounding that basketball. 30 turnovers against West Liberty. That just can't happen. That's first grade basketball. You can't even do that. So this is college basketball. 30 turnovers, you can expect to lose by 40 or 50 points in a college ball game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. 43-point defeat to West Liberty. Looking at a positive, Torrin Stevens off the bench. He had 19 points, was a perfect 10 for 10 from the free throw line. Coming into this past week, he was 71% from the free throw line. Coming out, right at this moment, he's at 77%. And that's mainly attributed to a perfect line, or perfect stat from the free throw line. How has Torrin been able to improve this season?
Well, Torrin, number one, he had some health issues for a very long time. He's finally, now he's a man. He's almost 21 years old. He's finally getting those health concerns under control. I'm not going to disclose exactly what it is, but he's getting those health concerns. He's getting his health under control, which he's been dealing with, to my understanding, for a really long time. So now he's healthy. He's getting healthy. He's put on 20 to 25 pounds since last year. So, he's stronger. He's more effective shooting a jump shot. He's worked a ton on his shooting. So Torrin is, and obviously he's a heck of a rebounder. He plays with a ton of energy. His aggression is getting better. He's an undersized post, so these are things that we told him he need to do. He need to put on pounds. He need to get stronger. He needs to develop a more potent jump shot, more consistent jump shot. He has to hit his free throws when he get to the line, and he's baby steps. But Torrin is bought into our program and bought into our coaching, and he's done everything we asked him to do. This is it's going to be a huge spring and summer for Torrin, as we bring in fresh faces and other guys graduate the program. This will be a huge spring and summer for Torrin, and we expecting Torrin to step up to the challenge. But he's grown leaps and bounds as a player. Just putting in that work, getting in the weight room, and getting on that shooting machine, that shooting gun, and knocking them down.
Now looking at the Wheeling game, and we alluded to this earlier, it was pretty competitive. You guys got off to a fast start. I believe it was 14-3 before Wheeling took its first time out early in the first half. 11-3. But, Wheeling was able to bounce back, and for the second half, mostly in control, but it was never, again, out of reach, and you guys were able to take him right down to the wire. Again, with the confidence, knowing that Wheeling currently in the standings is fifth. What kind of confidence does this bring to a team, knowing that Wheeling is on the upper echelon of the MEC right now, and they were able to take him right down to the final seconds?
Wow, we knew coming into this. Coming in this year, just watching a lot of film and stat watching and breaking down stats and going deeper into the box scores and using our analytics. We seen that this is a league where number 12 could beat number 1.
Right.
And it's shown up again this year where you got to bring your best, put your best foot forward every single game, or you're going to get smacked in this league. So our guys know that. Our coaching staff definitely know that. So we that does give us confidence, knowing that we could play with one of the top teams, and we feel like we match up really well against the top teams in our league. Glenville's another one. We got smashed down there at their place, but you know what? We came back. We came back home. We played them. Now they were minus their best player, but regardless of that, we felt like we matched up really well with Glenville, and we gave them our best shot, and we ended up knocking them off. West Virginia State's another one we feel like we match up really well against. Now, they smacked us twice, but the last time we played them at Garrett, Community College. They were up 22, and we cut it to 6. They were up 22 with under 6 minutes to go, and we cut it to 6 points with 3 minutes and 3 seconds to go. So we know what we can do. We know what we have. It's just a matter of putting it together. These guys, are a mixed bag. We played. We got a mixture of transfers. We have freshmen. We have returners. And it's like it's even all across the board. So we got a mixed bag of guys, and a lot of these teams they're already well oiled, and they know what they want to do. For us, we kind of our guys are still filling each other out, and I know it's late in the season, but that's kind of how it goes. I mean, they're grown men all put together to play basketball. Young men put together, and basketball IQ is different. Some of the kids know what we expect, some of them don't. But next year it should look a lot cleaner, and we should compete a lot better. But we do feel like we match up with a lot of the top teams in our conference. Willing being the one we match up with best, and it does give our guys a lot of confidence.
And we speak every week about how well Daniel Alexander has performed this season. But it seems like there's always someone that has stepped up outside of the normal suspects. This week, at least from what I saw, was Demetrius Williams. 11 points on Wednesday, 10 on Saturday. He's been quite of an unsung hero and has found his way into some starting roles this season after coming off of the bench all of last year. What has Williams been able to bring to the team in his second and final year?
Man, it's great that he's finally turned the corner. Unfortunately, it's in his last year and his last month and a half of basketball. I think the date that myself and the coaching staff is identifying is right around that January 23rd, 24th date. We've really seen a change in him, and he's just playing great basketball right now. Not trying to do too much, but also not doing too little. We've always had an issue with him, not really pushing himself, or him trying to do too much. He's found that perfect balance. Finally in his career where he's comfortable with his game. He's comfortable with the coaching staff. He's comfortable with his teammates. Meach is a kid who's been in a lot of different programs, high school, AAU, college, and he never really, and this is just my evaluation of the situation, he never really got comfortable, learning a whole bunch of different styles, a lot of different systems. He's always been a winner where he's been, but was never really able to get comfortable. But now he's comfortable. He's feeling good about the situation. I asked him 2 days ago. I said, Meach, right after the loss, I said, man, you playing some amazing basketball. Can you put a finger on what it is? He said, Coach, you came to me in the middle of January and you asked me how do I want this to end. He said it sunk. He said I went home, I thought about it. He said, and it finally sunk in that this really is it. So that's, I guess these guys really do listen to us. I take that as a good thing. But I give all the credit to Demetrius because he's always put in a lot of work. He's always been a hard worker. He can jump out the gym. He can shoot the ball. He can dribble. He got really good handles. He could defend 1 through 5. So it was just a matter of him getting comfortable and really putting it all together. And he has put it together. And unless something crazy happens, he'll finish out the season as a starter. And we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Finally, I said this early in the segment.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's been eliminated from the playoffs yet.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 games left for everybody, with 1 week to go. The final home game of the season coming up on Wednesday against Davis and Elkins. Playoff implications are on the line for both of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Frostburg looking to solidify a playoff spot. Davis and Elkins in last place, but only 2 games behind.
Right.
And they're no slouch either. They're
At all.
Five conference wins, tied with Urbana, and first time you guys played them, it was in the final seconds. You guys had to pull one out on the road. So, knowing the magnitude of this game, what's the mentality?
Well, the mentality is to go in and lay it all on the line. This will mathematically secure our playoff spot. So we're putting everything into this game right here. We're not looking forward. We're not looking ahead to Fairmont. We're not looking ahead to the playoffs, to going down to Wheeling and playing in that nice complex. We're looking at we're putting everything in this basket right here. We want to get this win to secure our spot in the playoffs, and once win, and if we get that win, then we could talk about Fairmont. But that's how we're coming at this game. Like this, it's all or nothing here. This is all or nothing. We've been fighting all year to get this. This was our team goal. This was our coaches staff's goal. This is the goal for our president and our AD. They wanted to see us in the playoffs in the first year. We wanted to get a first round bye, but it didn't work out that way. We lost a couple of really close games. We lost some bad games along the way. Just kind of looking back, we feel like we should be in fourth place right now, realistically. But that's just kind of how things go sometimes. So that's what we want to do. We want to put all of our eggs in this basket right here. Put a great game plan together and go out and beat D&E on Wednesday.
Anything else you want to add?
Yes, I do. I want to thank my coaching staff for always, being supportive and helping out in any way possible. Getting in the gym with these guys, really driving these guys, going to class, doing class checks, monitoring study hall, everything that needs to be done. My assistants have done all year, and I've really appreciate what they've done, and the players, the big ups to the players, because they've worked hard all year. Guys in and out of lineups. There was a whole lot of shuffling in the roster and in the lineups, and guys stuck with it. And they believe in one another, and I feel like we got one last push to go, and hopefully we'll make it happen.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. We're talking women's lacrosse with first-year head coach Maddie Manzoni. And, Coach, had a season-opening defeat to Belmont Abbey on Saturday, 22-6. What were your overall takeaways?
We're kind of using this game to kind of gain experience because we are very young. I think some of our freshmen are starting to really get more comfortable on the field, but we really need to just kind of push each other in practice.
You mentioned the first years. Lily Stevens and Cammie Schneedwind are two in particular that did well. Lily Stevens had 2 goals. Cammie Schneedwind had a goal and an assist. What do those two and just the first years in general bring to the table?
They really have nothing to lose, so they've been pushing themselves very, very hard. And I am expecting a lot out of them, so they're constantly stepping up to those challenges, soaking everything in like a sponge. Lily Stevens was constantly analyzing her play during the game, so that's something that I think will help her grow in her 4 years here as a Bobcat.
First half was a bit of a struggle. Outshot 26-6 in the first half, and the scoreboard it wasn't in your favor. With that said, do you think that the season opener was a bit of a wake-up call, or was it more, as you said, an evaluation of the team going forward?
I think we need to use this game definitely as a wake-up call in the sense that we're only as good as the people we compete against at practice. So I think it was really eye-opening in the fact that our defense needs to constantly push our attack to take more shots, and our attack needs to do the same thing with our defense as well.
Who else, other than Schneedwind and Stevens, stepped up in the loss to Belmont Abbey?
Mara O'Neill ranked her first goal as a freshman, so she was doing great things for us in the midfield and then was able to get herself her first goal, so that was a really exciting moment for her as well.
Goalkeepers Teresa Stabler and Jasmine Torrado Viscala, very new to the position. Stabler only played 1 game in net prior to the season, and both of them were busy all game long. How do you think that they both performed in their first games as the quote-unquote true goalies?
I think they definitely used this game as time to get experience in between the pipes. Their communication was definitely where it needed to be, but again, I need them to be a little bit more aggressive outside of the crease, so that's something that we're going to continue to work on this week.
And how can they feed off of and learn off of each other going forward?
Teresa Stabler started in the goal, so it was really beneficial for Jasmine to kind of see where the shot placement was as she was on the sideline for the first half, so she was able to adjust a little bit there as she went into the second half. So they're really good at communicating together about shot placement in particular.
Do you think that we'll see a lot of Torrado Viscala and Stabler splitting time in net as the season goes on?
You know, at this point, it's hard to tell. I tell the team every single day that no one's spot is guaranteed and that they earn their spots at practice. And so we'll have to see how they continue to grow and develop and who really wants that position and can step up.
What kind of adjustments do you look to make heading into the week?
We need to be more intense. We played way too timid in our game against Belmont Abbey, so I really need to foster some aggressive play, not only on the defensive end, but as well on the attacking end. We need to help build each other's confidence up, so that's something we're going to continue to grow upon this week as well.
Up next, Alderson Broaddus. They only won one game last season. However, they did beat up on a team in the MEC, West Virginia Wesleyan, in their opener. What kind of challenge does Alderson Broaddus pose?
I think it's more of the challenge that we're putting upon ourselves. We really need to continue to push ourselves and kind of worry about our own level of play. If we play our own game, I'm really excited to see how we match up.
And to start off the season, pair of road games and this weekend, first home game against Chestnut Hill. How do you think the atmosphere is going to be in the first home game of the season?
Yeah, we're definitely taking it day by day, so we're excited for Alderson Broaddus first, but we are excited to be at home and kind of hopefully have our Bobcat fans there to support us in our home atmosphere. It's the field we practice on every single day, so we should know what to expect in that regard, so we're excited to be home.
Do you think that some of the upperclassmen have kind of helped these first years as well step up throughout practice and in some game time situations?
I think they have, but again, we need more. We're really lacking in leadership this year, so hopefully this past weekend was a wake-up call for some of our upperclassmen that we really need to step up. We need them to start scoring some goals, and we need more confidence and leadership on the defensive end as well.
Anything else you want to add, Coach?
Go Bobcats.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. And we're off. Welcome back to the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. We're joined with women's basketball head coach Carrie Saunders. Coach, a couple of tough losses over the past week to West Liberty and Wheeling. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, they were tough. West Lib on Wednesday, incredibly close game. Just as Saturday's game, completely two different types of teams. West Lib shoots a bunch of threes, and then you've got Wheeling who likes to attack the rim. But, yeah, they were incredibly close games. Both of them were huge wins that we needed to keep our season alive. Unfortunately, we came up short in both of those games, but I'm incredibly proud of just our fight and our effort through everything. We're learning, we're young, and that's just what we got to keep doing. We got to keep learning.
Against West Liberty, the defense had a very strong first half showing as pretty much the status quo for you guys only held West Liberty to 7 second quarter points. What was working defensively to be able to limit those shooters in the first half?
Yeah, we had lots of energy in that first half, especially the second quarter. We were flying around. We knew we had to help and we had to scramble against a team like that because their offensive pace is so incredible. And we did that. We scrambled. We forced them into quick shots and contestant shots towards the end of the shot clock. And, that kind of just fell apart in the third quarter. Third quarter, for some reason, is just our Achilles heel. We can't seem to put a full, complete third quarter together. But, yeah, we played really solid defense. It's just we've got to be able to do that for four quarters.
25-14, you guys are outscored in the third quarter. What was the issue?
That's something that we've been struggling with all year. I told them at halftime that a team like West Lib, any team in this conference, is going to come out. No one's going to bow down just because they're either down at halftime or the score's close at halftime. And I said you cannot let them start hitting. As soon as they see the ball go into the basket, they're going to catch their rhythm because that's what they need to catch their rhythm is to see the ball, especially from the three-point line, go through the basket. So that's what they did. They came out, hit 2 threes and a 2, and boom, the game was just tied back up, and it was a close competitive game from then. But yeah, we've got to figure out a way to just play 4 quarters of basketball.
Someone to point out, Morgan Dombrowski, she had a pretty nice night against West Liberty, 16 points, 7 of 10 from the floor. She's been tasked with quite a bit this season. She's been able to lock down some defenders. She's been able to catch and shoot. She's been able to score pretty much any way imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think she's been able to respond to the amount of workload that she's been tasked with this year?
Yeah, her coming in, I knew I needed a guard that's got some size, especially going into this conference, and that's exactly what she's done for us. She's been able to guard those guards that are bigger, that we might not have a great matchup with, and she can score from anywhere on the floor, and her upside is just incredible. She can do a little bit of everything. It's just polishing up all of those areas. And yeah, she played really well for us on Wednesday night. She settled into the game extremely well. She's definitely a rhythm player, and I'm just thrilled to have her for the next few years here because she's only going to get better and stronger.
Now looking at the Wheeling game, the offense sputtered in some points, mainly the first and third quarters, scoring 11 points in both quarters. Second and fourth, you had 19 and 17 respectively.
Mm-hmm.
What was the message in between those quarters going into the second and fourth?
Yeah, it's just settle down and take our best shots. Sometimes we have rush shots or multiple possessions where we don't get the best shot. And when we can get them up and down, they're not a fantastic transition team. So we were trying to get the ball to the rim pretty quickly. And that's exactly what we were doing in the second and fourth quarters, especially in that second quarter, is we were just playing a lot more free and taking opportunities that came to us. And Ari exploded there in the second quarter, and did extremely well for us with just that, of getting to the rim, being explosive off transition. So yeah, I mean, it's taking what the game gave to us in those situations, and it's also in the first and third quarter, not taking the best shots and not having enough energy to be able to put a complete game together.
When we spoke a few weeks ago, it was after the Concord game in which you had Amanda Emery take 6 threes, made 4 of those,
Mm-hmm.
and you said it was because Concord's big player doesn't come out of the paint.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, she took 7 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a similar situation?
A little bit. I think a lot of those threes, some of them were rushed. Senior night, lots of jitters, lots of things happening. Amanda's a kid that just wants to score. So it wasn't a huge part of the game plan for her like it was in Concord, but she is a decent 3-point shooter. So if she feels like she's got an opening, I'm okay with her taking it, because she hits a few and then, the defense can come out and that alleviates the pain a little bit. She just had a little off shooting night. But it's doesn't take anything away from the season that she's having. If a few of those had fallen, I think momentum could have shifted a little bit, definitely. But yeah, she has the green light to shoot when she feels like, she's got that space. A few of them were a little rushed, but other than that, I trust her to make good decisions on the floor.
Speaking of Amanda, she's very, very close to becoming the 20th Bobcat to reach 1,000 career points. Came into Wheeling 13 points away. Didn't quite get it. She got 8. Now she's 5 points away.
Mm-hmm.
Will more than likely get it, but I don't want to jinx anything. What's it been like to coach someone like Amanda Emery?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of, her struggles on Saturday. It's a lot of pressure, 13 points away. 13 points might, be close to her average, but it's still a tough feat. So yeah, I mean, hopefully she'll get it here within these next 2 games, but the thing for her is just to not put any pressure on herself and just go play. But to have a kid like that, I can honestly say, her freshman year, I didn't think she would be that kid that would be approaching 1,000 points. But she made a huge commitment between her sophomore and junior year, and has just made this steady increase in her play and her ability, especially from the outside and being able to shoot from the outside. But she's just an incredible kid. We'll be sad to see her go because she loves it every single day. She loves to be in practice, which is a huge testament to her this season. I think she's flying a little bit under the radar in the MEC as far as recognition because she's had an unbelievable year. And I think people are kind of overlooking that recognition that she deserves. So hopefully, we can get 1,000 points here and she can get in the record books because she deserves it.
And speaking of the 1,000 points, classmate Victoria Diggs, she's already there. She's at 1,392 points, 8th in FSU history. Now, doing some deep diving, Victoria Diggs and Amanda Emery, assuming Amanda gets those 5 that she needs, they would be the first set of teammates in a graduating class since 2010. Brittany James and Karen Wright both had 1,000 points when they graduated in 2010. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the two of them plus Sydney and plus some that have graduated here recently, especially last year with my first true 4-year recruiting class going through. This group's my second. It's a testament to them because it wasn't easy. I think that's the biggest thing that I think people need to understand is where the program was when they came in their freshman year to where it is now, where it was last year. I know this year, with us changing to the Mountain East, it's a tough way for their senior year to go, but that's a testament to them because they trusted the process and they have helped mold the program into what it was, especially leaving the CAC last year, record-breaking years for us. And that's a testament to them. They come in and they work hard every single day. They have the drive to win. Their work ethic, Amanda's coachability, Diggs' coachability. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like I can't say enough good things about them. And I think Sydney, she could be right in that talk if she wasn't as injured as she was last year and halfway through this year. It's just an incredible class, and I can't say enough good things about them.
And finally, playoffs, unfortunately, no longer a possibility for the women's basketball team. So with that in mind, with the final 2 games on the horizon, Davidson Elkins and Fairmont State, what's the mindset going into those 2 games?
The mindset's still positive. Our girls are still itching for wins, and that's what we talked about is, let's go out on the highest note that we can, especially for our seniors. We've still got a game at home, and then, last game's on the road, but let's go see what we can do because we're still learning and we're still progressing, and the situations that we're in every single game is putting younger kids in situations where they can grow and learn. And then for the 3 seniors, just to have them go out the best way that we can, and that's just to go and play hard, and hopefully we'll come out with a win this week.
Anything else you want to add?
No, just looking forward to the next 2 games here, and last one at home, which will be bittersweet, but we're looking forward to it.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.